All right, so your guy Wiz Khalifa here. I'm calling him your guy because I was not going to listen to this record, but I felt like okay, I'll give Rolling Papers 2 a chance. I know Dave probably is going to listen to it; he'll like it. I opened and it was 25 songs, man.
90 fucking minutes.
Tough. I mean, so my relationship to Wiz is, I mean, he's like the new Snoop Dogg. I guess that's like the lane he's trying to fill. I think he does an okay job. He's a likable enough
Mhm.
rapper. I don't find him to be anyone that really moves the needle in terms of like, wow, this is gonna blow me away, or I'm gonna like, be listening to this forever. But he's solid, and I feel like that's kind of what Rolling Papers 2 is. It's
Yeah.
bloated,
Yep.
but it's solid. There's enough there to like, enough there to throw away. Um, I think he had some nice features on this, and he tried a couple things. I was surprised this was his first solo album in 4 years.
Yeah.
Which,
Since August 2014 was Black Hollywood. That's the album where We Dum Boys is from. And like he's had a bunch of mixtapes and like a collab project with Juicy J. And then he had a Khalifa, which was like a compilation album, really just a mixtape, came out in early 2016. And they just call it an album for label reasons, whatever, to satisfy a contract. But yeah, no, it's been a while for him to have a proper release. It's his sixth album, fourth major label album, and I've kind of been lukewarm on Wiz for a while now, just because, for someone with such a high profile, I mean, he really blew up, or fall of 2010 with Black and Yellow, right?
yeah.
And then that led up to the first Rolling Papers, which is his first major label album, his first album for most people that ever heard of him. And it wasn't quite what people expected, but it also had a bunch of other hits like No Sleep. And, he has these massive songs. I mean, we've said it before, but See You Again with Charlie Puth, the second most viewed video on all of YouTube, 3.6 billion views. And again, that's probably more of a label creation for the Fast and Furious soundtrack, but still credited as a Wiz song, And he has all these songs and he does all these big summer tours. He's on one right now. And despite the fact that he's never brought up as one of the best MCs in the game, no one ever thinks that. Even Wiz fans don't bring him up like that, despite the commercial success and relative longevity. And, in a sense, he's kind of like like Big Sean, I guess, where it's just a product of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
But I mean, and because of that, the 25 track bloated 90-minute Gain Those Streams album is a bad fit for Wiz, because what's going to happen. A lot of filler, a lot of repetitiveness, stuff we didn't need to hear. We've heard a version of that song 10 times already from him, but to your point, I think there's some good features on here. And I think when he does try things, like, heck, I think the first track on the whole album, which, it might be hard to remember at this point, but Hot Now, I think it's actually really cool. It kind of reminded me of We Dum Boys, because when he gets more melodic and less just trappy, it's kind of fun, and I think Real Rich, which I believe was the second single, I don't like the Gucci feature on that. I thought Gucci kind of phoned in, but I think Wiz, because it's a little more melodically like a singy rap, I thought it was really cool. I like that from Wiz, especially now. And then there's other songs that just, they go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
My favorite song's still probably Hopeless Romantic with Sway Lee. First song I heard from the album, and I think it's probably one of the better Sway performances of the year, better than a lot of Swaycation. But again, that's more of Sway's track than Wiz's, to be honest.
Exactly.
I mean,
to kind of jump off the Hopeless Romantic, I actually went back to Swaycation, was like, is this song actually from that album? Because it sounded just like it could have been. And I thought Sway was great on it, but yeah, I wouldn't really give that song to Wiz, even though it's on this album. I thought Rolling Papers 2, the title track, was pretty good, and it leads nicely into Mr. Williams, which I thought was like a change up in sound for him that was a little bit airier, and he tried some stuff which I thought was interesting. Gin and Drugs, which, I mean, if you want to be the Snoop Dogg of our generation, I guess ripping off Gin and Juice right there is a good way to do it. And Snoop Dogg on Penthouse, I also thought was nice. It was an enjoyable song for me. It's funny because the Gucci Man thing, I was excited to hear him, because I was like, maybe this will infuse a little bit of energy. And like you said, he really phoned it in.
It didn't even fit the vibe on Wiz's portion of the song either. It was just like copy paste Gucci feature from the email. Like, that's all it was.
Yeah, and you mentioned it It's a lot of filler. I ended up looking halfway through and I was like, oh, this has to be almost over, and not even close. It was it was rough.
10 more songs.
It's interesting. We talked about this a little bit last week. Drake dropped this bloated double album. Then we got 25 songs from Wiz. The other juxtaposition is these much more shortened, almost EP length albums. What do you think is the actual trend going to be here? Do you think people are going to move towards the shorter or towards those big, lots of song albums?
It's a great question. I think the trend is to make the long album because it's more financially beneficial to you.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a big artist, when you're already going to get a lot of attention. Until we actually see any evidence of, I think the short 7-track album is just going to be Kanye's idea. Is anyone else going to do that? Like when we get Little Skies is featured on here. He's on Wiz's tour. When we get the Little Skies debut album, that shit ain't going to be 7 tracks.
Right.
He needs to get that paper still. Like,
yeah.
So, I think too long is probably going to be more common than too short, unfortunately. And it's funny, 7 tracks and 25 tracks. What's a happy medium? I don't know, 14, a normal album length.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get much resolution anytime soon.
Yeah, until they can really figure out the right way to calculate the streaming numbers. They're gonna go more towards the longer ones, unfortunately. Which I would prefer them to do like 9 tracks. Like if somehow you can like rig it so people are doing 9 tracks, I feel like that's the right length, but.
And that's the thing, like the Billboard changes that we mentioned, a few weeks ago or over a month ago now, when they unveiled them and recalculate how the charts get affected. That's in effect now. Drake's first Scorpion week was the first week for that, but the charts are changed that way. But having a lot of tracks still means there's more tracks to get played and get you paid.
Right.
That hasn't changed. So there's still more incentive. There's still more incentive to have a long album than there is to have a short album, even if the charts are not as benefited by it as they were a few weeks ago.
So we'll see. What do we got to look forward to music next week? Anything big?
The Internet, Hive Mind, new album.
That'll be a good one. Looking forward to that.